Welcome to the Uncivil Mentality Podcast. I'm Erik Vidal.
And I'm Reilly Kilbride.
Let's go. Let's go.
Nice. Look at the guy.
Perfect. Good to see
What's
you
up,
guys.
Rob? How you doing, brother?
Doing good, man.
All right, but
What's going on?
we're already rolling, Rob, so don't
All
say
right.
anything that could incriminate you.
Of
But
course.
we'll start out this interview with just a brief bio. Tell us about you, where you work, what do you do, just all things Rob.
Okay. Well, I'm Rob Burks. I'm 25 years old. I'm from Marietta, Georgia. Uh, Spent most of my time in South Georgia. I'm in Valdosta. So if you've ever gone 75 south into Florida, you've gone through the town that I lived in. Started firefighting when I was in college in 2019, and this August I celebrated 5 years in the fire service.
Heck
Uh,
yeah.
so started off volunteering and then part-time and then ended up going full-time. Um, Last year I decided to move from Valdosta to where I now work, Irma Fire District, and I couldn't be happier. Um, yeah, anything from that. I love being in the outdoors, so often you'll find me working at an outdoor retailer here in Columbia. Uh, and recently I've gotten a job with Orvis Fly Fishing, so I'll be doing guide work through their shop here soon. But
If you
yeah,
guys don't know, Rob is the most interesting man. He's got so many layers that I can't wait to get into. But Rob, I didn't know that you had previous firefighting experience before you came to Irma.
yeah, of course. I started off volunteering because I wasn't too sure whether or not I really wanted to get into it too heavily. And that was perfect for my college schedule. And as time progressed, I realized that college really wasn't for me and that, you know, the fire service was. And so it was a lot easier for me to adapt to that lifestyle than it was for me to continue with college. And my parents understood, of course. So I decided to take it on full time. And well, here I am now.
Rob, in
How,
the times that we've talked, oh, go ahead, Eric.
how'd you end up in Irma? Did you know someone there?
Uh,
Application process opened up and you're like, oh, I'm just gonna just go for it. Like,
That's exactly what happened. I started looking into
okay.
I started
Yeah.
looking into different departments that were what I needed as a fireman, and unfortunately, not to speak negatively where I came from, it just wasn't. I guess I reached a threshold, right? And so I needed something to allow me to uh,
Evolve, grow,
develop,
stimulus.
evolve, grow.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. And so I searched around for all kinds of fire departments. I applied to Metro Atlanta area fire departments. And I just thought, I wanted to stay somewhere pretty small, not too big where you become a number. And that's just not for me. So I decided to find something that's pretty similar to where I was working station wise. And so I decided to go to Irma. Originally applied to Columbia Fire Department, and I did some more research, and I found that Irmo might be a little bit better fit for me. And just speaking to people that know people from Irmo, it was like, go to Irmo, go to Irmo. You're going to train, you're going to get the firemanship that you need, you're going to get the leadership, you're going to get the mentorship. And I was like, these are all things that I need as a 4-year firefighter, in order to progress and become a better person, honestly.
Rob, in the
Son,
times that we've talked, you've talked a lot about your family. I know you're a big family guy.
Big
So
family guy.
has it been tough? I mean, with the
It,
family back in Atlanta or back in Georgia to be
yeah.
full time in Columbia?
Absolutely, dude. My family's spread across the entire United States. Obviously, home base is Atlanta. My sister's out in San Diego. So my parents are really accepting of our lifestyle and being as fluid as possible. So we try to, get back together. We have like family FaceTime calls, stuff like that. But it has been really hard on my mother and my father, I do believe, because I'm not there
Yeah.
and they really want to see me all the time. So I make the best of it, try to go home and be around my sisters, my grandparents, just check in on my mother and everything like that. So it's very important to me. Family is super important to me.
It's not like you're an accountant or something. It's not like you're
No,
working at Best Buy. It's like
yeah,
you got a
no,
pretty dangerous job and
pretty
you're
dangerous
not at
job.
home. So I could
What a
see your
pretty,
parents. Your
oh
parents
yeah,
probably pretty worried about you.
of course, dude.
My first question is in this first kind of year with Irmo, tell us more about your experience and maybe some good mentors or just good people that you've interacted with Irmo Fire Department, Fire District, sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah,
It
sorry.
took me a while, but yeah, we are a district, but it's all right. Honestly, I've had nothing but positive influence towards my firemanship. Obviously, give it a year. Not everything's been perfect, right? I mean, there's been mistakes that have been made, but there's been opportunities for correction, right? And mentorship. And I've got a jam up captain. I'm currently under Captain Clink Skills on Engine Company 171 A shift. What a fantastic dude. Super knowledgeable, super driven, always willing to stop and help and kind of drive me in a direction that he thinks is going to be best for both me and my driver. We ride a 3-man crew. Some other companies are at 4, but it doesn't really bother me to be at that. It just allows me to be able to adapt and overcome and fit into different roles and be flexible. I've got other captains too that are really great on A shift, but I can honestly say that here recently I've worked with every single captain, either on a trade or overtime, and I've had the ability to work under them and be around them. And there's not one that I haven't been able to pick up something from and adapt with. And honestly, just have life conversations and just pour into me and vice versa. It's not always about fire department to fire department. Sometimes for us, it's just life and what's going on. And it's been so easy for us just to come together and fellowship. And that's what I love about that place. It's just beautiful. But it has been tough, dude. There's nothing I can't lie about that for sure.
Yeah.
Coming from a department that ran maybe a few calls a day to a department that's running anywhere between, 10 to 20 at sometimes. It's pretty busy. So that was a lot for me, especially fitness wise too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It definitely changes things when you don't know how many calls you're gonna get. Like even guessing. Like I can
Yeah.
have a average number in my head of like this is what a normal day has been. And then
Yeah.
you throw a day where it's just like 20,
Yeah.
16, 20. You're just like, all right. I
What's
wasn't gonna
going on?
accomplish anything today, but that's
Yeah.
okay. So where Rob works is almost in our adjacent area. So we work a lot of like mutual aid with Rob and Irma Fire District. So we'll just pull up on calls and be like, "Yo, what's up?" I think one of like we burnt an apartment complex caught fire and I'm
Yeah.
pull hose, boom. We're just I just look to my left and
Look over,
Rob's
I'm like,
like on the noodle
hey.
right beside me. We're just slaying the dragon together. It was kind of
Yes.
awesome.
Awesome
But
to have those experiences, dude.
yeah, it
Sometimes
was
people, yeah, good.
pretty big fire.
Yeah, pretty big fire. And what I really realized in this season of my life is that, yeah, it's a time and a place to take things seriously, but we only get one life. And, I'm only 25 years old. Ideally, God willing, I have a whole career ahead of me, right? So, it's okay to have those moments of celebratory, or even just, hey, that's my guy. We're
Mhm.
working together, like
Yeah.
seeing people from other crews and everything like that. You don't have to be so rigid.
Mm.
Yeah.
I really like being because we ride a 3-man crew as well. I
Yeah.
like being the only firefighter in the back because it challenges me all the time. I feel like I have all the responsibility, so I
Oh,
don't feel
yeah.
like I can never slack. I
Yeah.
can never be like, okay, the other guy's got the can, or the other
Yeah.
guy's got the med bag, or
Yeah.
the irons. I'm the iron guy.
You
I'm
are
the can guy.
that.
I'm the med bag guy.
Yeah.
So it keeps me on my toes. And I just think that's kind of fun.
Yeah. Just being able to adapt and overcome, scramble and be flexible. You just never know what hat you're going to put on. And, that's what makes it fun, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Rob, other than firefighting, I'm always like in admiration of like the other things you do. We talk about
yeah.
work-life balance a lot on this podcast, and you're always traveling. You're always doing something. Like, how do
Yeah.
you balance both? And it's important. And I want you to talk about how you have other hobbies other than
Yeah.
just firefighting.
Yeah, of course. Another thing that drove me to Irma is that it's a 48-96 schedule. I knew for a fact that 24-48 wasn't going to be conducive to my lifestyle. It just wouldn't. Uh, I like to be in the outdoors and I like to go camping. And my friends from college and high school also feel the same way. And having that ability to say, okay, I can take off from the side hustle and have 4 days off. Or if I plan it right, I can trade with somebody and I can have up to 6 days off, right? Which gives me opportunities to go out west or even up north if I need to, or even stay local and be able to get those things done. And that's super important to me. Without the outdoors, honestly, I don't know who I would be. Um, Between the time of me coming to Irmo and leaving South Georgia, I spent about a 4 month stint in New Mexico on a ranch, and I worked as a backpacking guide in the conservation department. Very popular ranch, Philmont Scout Ranch. Very honored to have worked there. but it opened my eyes to what's more for me and what I can do. And it reminded me that it's not all about just this one thing, life is so much more than just being a fireman or just being a son, brother, you know. A well-rounded person makes for a great friend, and that's what I strive to be. Uh,
Mhm.
yeah, uh,
Yeah,
yeah.
I resonate with that.
Recently,
Yeah.
oh yeah, for
So you
sure, for
traveled a
sure.
bit. You went
I
out
do travel
west.
a bit.
Yeah.
Went out west. I was afforded the opportunity to go to New York City for a week this past
Yeah.
summer. I spent my life there, enveloped in the culture. I love food, so that was really cool to just be around people that are not eating stereotypical traditional American food. And the culture, the influence, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful city. Um, yeah, and then other than traveling, I'm usually taking pictures. I'm pretty okay at it. Uh, and I love fly fishing. I taught myself how to fly fish during the pandemic, and it's just kind of evolved into this thing. And ultimately, my big time goal, separate from the fire service, wherever that takes me, is to own my own fly shop, open up a little fly shop, and be able to pour into people and be like, "Hey, I can help you with what you need, and I have your local small town needs." Uh, but yeah,
I
It's
told y'all
awesome,
that
bro.
this is the world's most interesting man, and I'll
Yeah.
stand on that. This dude is
Yeah,
like,
man. You could totally do
what's
it.
you talked about a little bit about New Mexico. What's your favorite place that you visited or like one for the books?
Oh, 100%. If you get the opportunity to go to Taos, Taos is a beautiful ski town. Obviously, I went in the summer, so it wasn't really snowing as what it normally would be during the wintertime. But uh, fantastic people, fantastic culture, and it's beautiful. It runs right along the Rio Grande River, flowing down into Santa Fe. Um, Super huge mountains in New Mexico. A lot of people think New Mexico, they go, oh, flat desert, right? But no, super huge mountain culture, especially in northern or northeastern New Mexico. It was beautiful. The opportunity to be there. Separate from that, like I love climbing mountains too. So if I get an opportunity to be at elevation greater than what we're at here,
Yeah.
I'm happy. I think my favorite moment that time was going out to Colorado and going down to Estes Park, so Rocky Mountain National Park, and uh, just spending some time at Chasm Lake and just enjoying it and looking up at people climbing and just being there by myself. Solitude, dude. I love mountains.
It's so funny. You just look at Rob's Instagram and it's like Nat Geo. Like I feel like I'm looking at a magazine. Like it was like, well, one day he was in New York, and then the next day he's like, he's always on the go. I'm like, yo,
Yes,
where are you? I'm at my house chilling. What are you doing?
I try to stay active. I try to stay moving. I really want to just be enveloped in stuff. And if I get the opportunity to do stuff, I'm going to do it. As long as the finances are there within reason to.
Yeah.
I feel like nature is almost like the ultimate reset, though. Like
It
for
is.
our job and the kind of like organized chaos that the
Hmm.
fire department is sometimes,
Yeah.
getting away from it, getting away from obviously technology, resetting, walking through the mountains, like even if it's the
Yeah.
mountains or the beach, like those two things are like an ultimate button for me that help me reach center,
Oh,
refocus,
yeah.
and get my goals, get my life together if I can,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, we're humans, dude. So, like, where else we come from the earth. And so, why not allow it to be a place where you can just, like you said, reset and be with one. We can allow this job to really eat us up if we let it, but we shouldn't. And it's super important that we allow ourselves the opportunity to take a step back. Turn the phone off, be somewhere in solitude, maybe with friends or by yourself, and enjoy the moments that you have. And I'm super, super, super into this even more so because last year I lost my friend, unfortunately, to suicide, and I just wish that things were different. But that is life, and so it's super important to understand that when given the opportunity to take a second to reset or even speak to someone about what you got going on, take it, and use it wisely.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah,
And it's so accessible, nature.
yeah,
Well, at least for me
so
down here,
accessible.
the beach. We don't have any mountains. It's a swampland, but yeah, just taking a
Oh,
hike or just stepping away from the job for a moment, right?
yeah,
Rob,
Eric,
Eric
how
Eric
long?
lives
Oh
in
yeah,
Miami though. He's
I was
from
just saying.
Miami, so it's super super big
Yeah.
city, super metropolis. So it's probably tough to get rid of that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's busy down here.
I doubt
Everyone's
Eric will ever
racing.
leave.
They call it the human race, right? Everyone's always racing down
Every-
here, and it's the rat race, like
So
the hamster wheel.
I've lived out in Arizona for a few years, and
Yeah.
I would always keep a one person tent in my trunk.
Yeah.
I drive this little Ford Fiesta, man, and I would just keep a one like a little little you know one man tent, and I could drive anywhere I want. I went out to literally middle of nowhere. They just have these campsites called like BLM campsites where you just put money in an envelope and just
Yeah.
donate it. BLM is like Bureau of Land Management.
Yeah.
So free public, anybody can camp there. It's not like there's not even a guard. Like there's no
Yeah.
people there at all.
Just out there.
Yeah, and you can camp there as much as you like. So it was really cool to do that and be alone. Be alone in nature
Yeah.
is humbling, is
Mhm.
completely centering, and I encourage that as
Yeah.
like go take a trip
100%.
by yourself every once in a while. Like
Yeah.
refocus. Like I know it was really important to me in my 20s, and maybe I should revisit that even as I'm getting older. But nature alone is a
Yeah.
very humbling and you know
Very.
yeah thing. You feel so small. You think we all live in our own movie, and I always think that I'm Brad Pitt in my movie, but but nature will eliminate that. You'll just be
Yes.
like, oh shit, this tree's been here for hundreds of years, and it's probably going to be there for hundreds of more years.
More years.
And
And
I'm
and
just
I'm
a
worried about
yeah,
simple
whatever.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy. That's amazing. I love it. I love being outdoors.
So going into your second year with Irmo, do you have any goals, any kind of things that you want to do, or because when you finish that probationary year, they're like,
Yeah.
well, what's next?
Yeah.
They always
Yeah.
ask you, what are you gonna do next?
Um, a lot of guys know this. There's nothing to hide about it. I am electing not to start my driver packet. Just not something that I personally believe that I want to continue doing or am ready for an IRMO. Where I used to work, it was kind of not a choice. You got your classes straight to learn how to drive in house, and we're going to have you on the road. And that was a lot of responsibility for a young man, even younger than I am now. And so now I recognize that there's a time and a place for that. And Rob, where he's at, is happy. And that's where we need to be. So I talked to my captain. We got some classes that I need to take, and we're going to take care of that. But for right now, just focusing on being a better fireman, one for my crew, and then two for the people that I get the opportunity to serve for. And when I'm ready, we'll take that step. But really, honestly, developing my friendships with people across the board in the Midlands and across the country, honestly,
Yeah.
that's really what I want to focus on this year is just reaching out to people, checking in with guys, making sure they're doing good. That's super important to me. And I really want that to be my goal this year. Take my classes, meet more people.
Mm.
Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe Eric can speak on this with a bigger organization, but we get about a year or two in these smaller departments and they start pressuring you to go to the next step, which I understand that's how the fire
Yeah.
service works. Eventually,
100%.
we're going to have to take that step.
Yeah.
But for me, it's not there quite yet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm not ready to do that
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah.
But if you don't play
Yeah.
ball with them, sometimes bad things can happen, which
Yeah, of
we don't want
course.
that to happen either.
We don't want that to happen. I recognize the district has needs, and
Hmm.
I'm not blind to that. But it's a give and take. Like you said, it's a very careful balance. And like you said, if you push too hard on one end, it can end up negatively consequenting you. I mean, you can be stuck somewhere that you don't want to be, and other people are getting opportunities that you could have gotten because you just aren't taking that step. It's a fine line to let people know that you're not necessarily not taking initiative, you're taking an opportunity to grow and to mature. And then I think the more we allow ourselves to mature, we'll have better firemen on the fire ground.
Hmm. So before you got on, Rob, Eric and I were talking about how big Miami-Dade is. They have
Oh
3,000
yeah,
employees.
yeah.
So how does that process work in Miami-Dade? Like, how do you go from
Well,
firefighter to driver?
the the pressure is the incentives that come with taking your
Yeah.
courses and promoting and whatnot. So as of now, the requirement to promote to from firefighter to lieutenant, you have to have your medics. You have to have some type of higher education, or your firefighter officer one or firefighter officer two, and you have to be a state certified driver,
Mm.
driver engineer. Um, Not necessarily blessed through the county. You don't have to necessarily take the blessing class that's offered by the department, but just be a state pump operator. So those are requirements to promote. Oh, and then you have to be a medic as well. You can't promote
Okay.
as a EMT. So there's that.
Is the
Yeah.
pay that much more?
Significant.
Significant.
Yeah, X amount. I'm not
That's
gonna
where they
say how
get you.
much, just X amount. And
Excellent.
but you could be a firefighter, EMT, backstep, tailboard your whole career if you choose to. There is no
Mm.
Yeah.
pressure for you to advance, or there's enough guys that do that regardless, because
Yeah.
they seek that advancement. Also, you're doing the job of a paramedic regardless. As an EMT, why not
Yeah.
get paid for it as well, and then receive some education and knowledge and skills that comes with being a medic, so you could have the knowledge and wherewithal of what you're doing on the fire scene. So there's that. I mean, if you care about the profession and you want to be an asset, you take these courses and these high level classes to be a weapon, a unit on the fire ground. But from my standpoint, our department doesn't pressure you into doing anything. You could do your 20, 25 years as a backstep EMT firefighter if you choose to.
But you're just a piece of the machine, though. Like, if
Yeah,
Erik Vidal said,
we all serve our purpose. We all serve our functions. As a team. I always say this. I say this quite often. Hopefully my weakness or what I lack, that's your strength, and then what I'm strong in. Hopefully you're not as strong as I am, and so we just complement each other fairly well as the piece of the unit or the machine. So yeah, but our department's so big, man. There's so many avenues you could take. You could do air rescue. You could be in the fireboat. You could do venom. You deal with venomous, animals if you choose to.
it is Florida. That makes sense.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
is just tracking.
There's also the dive bureau. If you choose to be a diver, there's that avenue as well. What else? There's TRT. There's special operations. If you want to be a SWAT medic or a special response team medic, you can do SWAT if you choose to. You'll be embedded with the SWAT team under Miami-Dade Police Department.
There's so many pros and cons of like a huge organization that has so much resources and opportunity. Then with a smaller department, more familiar, maybe less opportunity, but closer.
Closer.
Like I don't know which one's the right one or what to choose, really.
Again, we all serve our purpose. We all
Yep.
are on the same team,
100%.
and then we complement each other.
I would love to go to medic school in the next year or two. I'm not sure what our department what their vision is for us medically, but like you said, I want to be the guy that people like look to, like, hey, be a weapon on a medical call as much as I'm a weapon on the fire ground,
Yeah. And education, again, just makes you a more well-rounded individual. Just having the knowledge of a class or even a skill set can put you in a position to, again, like Erik was saying, complement one another, where you lack, I feel, and where I feel you lack, you know what I'm saying? So it's a very crucial key to how the American Fire Service is working nowadays. And honestly, it's for the better. I think we're pushing people to be more educated, be more well-rounded. And maybe one day we'll have a big full circle moment, but I think we're striving and we're moving in the right direction,
So Rob, I asked this question on our last interview. In your firefighter experience, what is the best like station prank you've ever like either been a part of or been on you?
PG-13 though, like within reason.
Keep it like not too bad. We don't want to get anyone in trouble.
Oh man, I got to think. I got to really think about this. Okay, this is fair enough. Fair enough. We got a guy who at our headquarters station now. I won't name any names. He knows what I'm talking about.
Don't let people put together the puzzle, Rob. Don't
Let's just
do
say,
it.
Traditionally, he likes to park his truck on the back pad, and so not really ideal as to where you should put it. But stuff happens. So I think the funniest thing that we've done is we pulled the truck into the bay and then left his keys on the hook. And so, they came to back in. They're like, can't back in. Got to move his truck. So it was a funny little prank. And, full circle, they got us back. But, it is what it is. I won't say how they got us back, but they got us back. No policies were broken,
Yeah,
exactly.
It was just my captain's birthday maybe a couple weeks ago, but I bought him two things. I bought him like a air horn, like a just random gifts that I think are fun. And I also bought him this little like cylinder of smelling salts, like powerlifting smelling salts. Don't ask me why I thought these were appropriate gifts for his birthday, but they have given so much entertainment for our shifts the last couple of weeks. Literally, I'm going into the bathroom and I'm walking in. I'm like, this is the perfect opportunity. He's going to get me. Like, I just hope the timing's right.
Yeah.
And he just lets her rip in the bathroom, just like a 10-second blast. And I'm like, damn,
Yeah.
he got me. I almost jumped off the toilet seat. I think it was probably about this high. Just jumped
Yeah.
right off. The firehouse is like almost like a sacred place where things can happen like that.
Dude.
Like, I love
Yeah.
it. Like, it's such
Yeah.
a, you know, I love these little nuances of a firehouse that you see. Like this morning at shift change, there was like a big like a call right at shift change. So they took off out the door, and I'm walking back into the kitchen, and all the seats are away from the table. There's
Yeah.
coffee cups on the
Scatter.
table.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I love that. That
Dude,
imagery is like that's awesome. This is the job. I love
dude,
this.
that's one thing I would love to highlight about coming to a slightly bigger department. Shift change where I came from, super simple. 2-man rig, swapping out. Bye. See you later. Right.
Mhm.
Shift change in Irmo, it is a family affair. Like, separate from the business that has to be passed on, right? We know, what are y'all cooking today? What are you up to? Hey, I saw you got a new truck. How are the kids doing? What are you doing this weekend? That type of activity, just sharing and just being brothers and sisters,
Mhm.
that's the point, and that's what makes the glue at Irmo stick, in my opinion. It's that little key factor, just being able to speak to people and it not be, Captain Firefighter. It's fellow.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Shift change is one of those things as well. It's just like that brief
Beautiful.
exchange where
Yeah.
you're interacting and just, you got to talk shit to them. You got to let
Yeah.
them know what's up. You got to, ask about them, act like, you know, it's just the banter
Yeah.
is like, I almost get in trouble with my wife because I bring the banter home. Like
Home.
I come home and start
Just
talking
travels
shit to
with
my
you.
wife, and she's like, she always says like, we're not at
Uh,
the firehouse anymore. Like you
Reel it
have to,
down.
yeah, take it
Yeah.
down a couple notches.
If
I
I if
love
I
it,
were to
man.
make a documentary about the fire service, it probably would just honestly focus on just shift changes and just what
Mm,
happens in that. It's such an art, dude, and so many places do it differently. Like, just how you do it, and it's just cool to see. Like, the station goes from having 4 or 5 guys to having double that, right? In a matter
mhm,
of minutes. And then just like that, it goes back to where it was. You know, the biggest thing that I've had a lot of people ask me about the fire service is like, how does it work? Living at the firehouse. I'm like, it's basically like living in a house, literally a house. We have to take care of things. You have to take care of the house. You have to cook, you have to eat, you have to clean, and so having that understanding of like, I own this place,
Hmm.
this is a part of me, it makes me happy, dude. Like I
yep,
know that, I live at 7422 Chow Street, and that's
yep.
home, separate from my house here,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
say what you want about me, but you're gonna know if you work with me that I scrub the shit out of those toilets. Like I
It's
take
good.
pride in that. Like,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that's part of me. That's just how I operate. Like
Yeah.
toilets are gonna be scrubbed when I go to
Hey,
work. So
I want somebody to come in here and be like, wow, they take care of this place,
yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
part of
Yeah.
it. What
And
about what's shift change like to you, Eric?
I could listen to you guys talk about shift change. I could be a little bit better in my shift change. Well, I'll give my report.
He's the cold
yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
He's like, man, I just want to go home.
I,
I'm out
I
of here.
switch out the battery. I switch out the
Yeah.
battery. You make sure you have a full battery. I check the life pack before I leave and make sure, restock everything that I use. If there's something missing, I take initiative and put it back. Obviously, these are like the things that I don't think about. But as far as that, man, I'm usually showering, changing clothes, getting out of my uniform, taking my
Yeah.
cape off, uh, putting my civilian clothes on, and heading to the training center just to like
Yeah.
rinse
Yeah.
from the shift. Um, yeah, man, 3, 4, 5 calls after midnight.
Oh, dude.
Yeah,
You
shift
try to
change.
not let you impact you that much, but it
It
it does take a
does.
toll, man. For no matter how much of a machine you are, but yeah, I think I could do better doing my exchange.
The
Yeah.
vibes do change. It's not
Yeah.
always like high fives and
Yeah.
butt
Yeah.
slaps. It's
Some
sometimes
days
you're
it
like
is.
you're
Uh,
get you're pushing me, dude. I really
Yeah.
like just
But
want to
no,
go home.
just reflecting and taking accountability for my action, and I think I could do a better job on shift change. I mean, I say hi. I'm very cordial and courteous and respectful. But
You know,
yeah,
The biggest thing is that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, swapping the batteries out and making sure
Yeah.
the next guy or gal is set
Yeah.
up for success. And that is something that I
Yeah.
think a lot of guys sometimes just right. You get caught up in like the butt slaps and the jokes, right? But
Yeah.
Yep.
there are things that have to take place, and
Yeah.
it's a careful balance, like anything else
Yeah.
in the fire, in life
So
in
I guess
general.
reflecting back, I could be a little bit more uh on the other side, but yeah, I take my due diligence. I do my due diligence for
I'd
make sure
rather have that, to be
I make
honest. I'd
sure the
rather have a
fucking
guy behind me
Yeah,
that,
the
or in
truck is
front of
good
me
to
that
go.
is going to
yeah.
set me up well than
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's funny.
Sure. So there's that.
Nothing sucks is like, putting the radio in the radio strap and you look down and you're like, all right, I'm check this thing off. And it's
Bro,
like one bar
I
or
got one
Low
bar. What the
battery.
fuck,
Yeah.
man?
what is
You know?
going on, dude?
And then you
And
get
you're
that
like,
first call in the morning, and now
like,
you're like
ah,
you're on that call, and the radio
yeah,
battery's bleeping, beep beep.
yeah,
Yeah, and you're like, fuck,
yeah,
I'm that guy. I have a
yeah,
cricket,
yeah.
and
I'm a shit
so
bag. That's
I
me.
literally
yeah,
looked at my crew yesterday. That happened to me at the grocery store. I turned my radio on to go in the grocery store, and it just low battery. They're like,
Yeah.
"What the
Mm,
fuck, man?" I'm like, "Ah, shit."
yeah,
But
it's me.
another advice for new guys at shift change: you're gonna get roasted. Like
Yeah,
the
100%.
wave, everyone around the table is gonna get roasted at one point, and it's gonna be your turn.
Yeah,
Don't fight it. Just embrace it.
just
Laugh at
embrace it.
yourself. Yeah, like
Yeah,
life's too damn short. Like you said earlier,
yeah,
man, it's too damn short to take so serious.
short.
Laugh at yourself. Because if you
Yeah,
fight it, if your claws come out, it's gonna get
yeah,
worse. It's
yeah.
gonna get
So,
worse, dude. Just
some,
roll with it.
sometimes I'll get home and I'm like, dang, I didn't put that thing back where it's supposed to be on the
Oof.
rig, And so I'll
Oof.
call the guy or I'll text
yeah,
the guy. I'm like, hey, dude, I messed up. And, usually it's like, yeah, we know, but,
Look,
thank you for letting me know,
yeah. We know.
I'm not
Yeah,
perfect. I'm
yeah,
not
Yeah,
perfect.
yeah,
I won't say that I haven't made those phone calls before.
yeah,
I won't lie to
yeah.
you.
Hey, life happens, but as long as you're able to own up to it and take
Yep.
responsibility, that's the biggest thing about it. That's
Yeah,
all
I've
and
it
been
is,
then
dude.
back.
also I'm relief, so I bounce from
Uh,
station to station. I gotta make sure that I have all my equipment with me, and
yeah,
I'm sometimes I'm just too busy picking up my bedding, all my
yeah,
uniforms, make sure
Hmm.
that the clothes out of the washer, out of the dryer, and then I'm just preoccupied.
yeah,
That's no excuse for being, very rigid, but I still have that rookie mentality, right?
yeah.
I'm still like, I'm still young. I'm
I
still a rookie
challenge you
firefighter.
to make a joke. I challenge you to like make a joke at shift change this week next time you're on. People are gonna look at you
They're
like,
gonna be like, what? Are you
what's wrong
okay?
with this guy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just say something
Yeah.
funny and see what
Yeah. I'm
happens.
like, nah. What? Are you sick? Like, what's wrong
Yeah,
with you?
what's wrong?
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll call him. Oh man.
yeah,
Um,
dude.
yeah, so Rob, on this podcast, we talk a lot about mantras and self-talk.
Yeah.
Um, what would you think that there's something that kind of embodies your spirit or, when things are going rough, like what do you talk to yourself like?
Yeah. So working out on the ranch, it's a well-oiled machine, lots of moving parts. It's a working ranch. There's also animals there, and there's participants, right? And I worked in my opinion, the best department in the ranch, which is the conservation department, right? That's the department that's keeping this place running, has been since the 60s, right? And so being a part of that pride and ownership just took it a step above, right? So they teach you a lot of things of how they want you to do, how they want you to occupy yourself and how they want you to operate. A little manual, super cool. And I take a lot of that and I adapt that to my life nowadays. So two things is scramble and be flexible. So working in the conservation department when I wasn't guiding, usually we'd be sent on what we call temporary assignments. So you'll be sent out somewhere on the ranch to handle something, right? It could be something simple like clearing trail, or it could be something simple like helping out a crew that's already established, right? And so scramble and be flexible comes from my boss during that time. You just never know what's going to happen. Be able to scatter and be flexible, whatever we're going to make you do, and that has helped me grow a lot in my life. And then separate from that one is sent is not received, and I understand. So if I'm telling someone something and we're having a conversation about it, my job is to make sure that I'm conveying it in a way that they can understand, and it's my job to understand that if they don't understand, to clarify, right? And the biggest thing that sometimes people will hear me saying around is I understand. It's just because that's ingrained in me from the place that I used to work is that you don't say that unless you absolutely understand what you're being asked to do. But scramble and be flexible is something that I really have taken and made it my own because, dude, the fire service is something different. And Irmo is unique being able to work in so many different facets and parts of the region, right? And so that is what that comes from, really. You just never know where you're going to go. You can be in
Yep.
Colombia, Lexington, or in the city of Irmo.
I think that it probably helped very well over to the fire service and just
Oh, dude.
applies well. Like
Yeah,
you always
translate
got to be
over.
ready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I had an aha moment when my first day, dude. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what I got myself into. You're talking about gym twice a shift, training usually twice a shift, or because, we work 48. So wake up the next morning, you're going to do the same thing all over again. On top of running calls and being a productive probie, like, I'm not gonna lie to you. My first day, I got my ass handed to me. I went to the bathroom. I was like, I don't know if this place is for me, And a little bit was the pressure of being the new guy, but a lot of it was like, hey, Rob, you're coming from a place that was great, but you're coming to a place that is far greater, and we expect more from you. And so I had to really reevaluate and be like, am I the guy that I say I am?
Hey,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that took a lot for me. And that scramble be flexible, just translate it right over into the fire service. And it's every single day for me. You just never know.
Scramble,
Rob.
be flexible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Real quick regarding understanding message received and message
Yeah.
understood. When I was younger, I used to like assume shit, or I used to
Oh,
hear
yeah.
something, interpret it in my own way, and then okay, this is what I want. This is what needs to be done. I'm gonna do it this way. No, that is the wrong
No,
answer. No. So you
no.
need me to do what? I need you to clarify.
Yeah.
If I don't understand
Yeah.
something, I need you to say it again
Yeah.
to make me understand what you're saying. Because you're
100%.
saying something, I'm interpreting in a different way, and so there's a miscommunication there. So what is it exactly that you want me to do? What? So what are you saying? Because I'm not
Yeah.
understanding you at the moment, and so I think that's key in clear
Yeah.
communication to communicate effectively. That's what it means. That your
Yeah.
thoughts are put into words and you're conveying the message expressed that you want to be conveyed, not
Yeah.
and leave no room for doubt when
Yeah.
you talk. Because
100%.
if people are asking questions, then you're dicked up. Then okay, let's start all over again. Stop. Time.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm fucked up. All right. So this is what I meant to say. This is what needs to be done. All right. So yeah, that clarifying thing, man. As you were talking about that, that made so much sense to me because
Yes.
I used to assume, and that is the wrong answer.
Yeah, it's a big thing because on the ranch, from anywhere from 18 to 25-year-olds, you're asking these crews of people to go to complete a task. There's no supervisor. I mean, there
Sure.
are foremen, but like there's no guy or gal coming to check on you as soon as you get done. Some places were 3 hours away from base camp by car,
Mm.
not even to mention hiking in. So like they expected so much of you because this place has to run. We have to keep it safe. We have to protect it from fire, things break, things have to be fixed. So it's super important because you never know. You might be sent out for a 2, 3 day trip, and if you didn't take a second to ask, dang, what did she mean by that? Or what did he mean
Mhm.
by that? Now you're sitting out there in the middle of the wilderness, like,
Yeah.
well, I have
Sure.
to interpret it,
Yeah.
and sometimes that's not the right call.
Correct.
I'm imagining Rob in the show Yellowstone. Like Yellowstone. Like
Yeah, I love that show,
we
dude.
need to Photoshop Rob like as the main actor of Yellowstone.
Dude.
That's what I
uh,
think in my head.
Sure.
yeah, yeah. I
Um,
love that show. I love that show. It's a good show.
but something you
Uh,
talked on, I want to bring up too, because I identify with it a lot, is that you talked about putting a lot of pressure on yourself. I think
dude.
everyone here applies major pressure to themselves to be great, to do well in the role that they're in right now.
Yeah,
And kind of talk to me like some strategies you've kind of implied. And I'm asking for myself
yeah,
because I
yeah,
still do this of like, how do you relieve that pressure that you put on yourself?
yeah.
No one's asking you to be great, but you expect greatness from yourself, you know?
I, one thing I've learned is just don't stop it from happening. Adjust it, right? So in the time and there's a place for everything, right? I think the morning I met you was that fire branch fire, right?
Hmm.
And I am mad at myself because I'm on a line and we've discussed knee wall fires, right? And I should recognize and understand the conditions I had, and it just right. Still doing my job, right? Look, sound, listen for where I'm at, put water on the fire. But I felt like in that moment in time, I'm like, dude, I could have been way more effective in the firefighting aspect of this. But at the same time, one, I was doing my job and I
Mm.
had to be reminded that you did your job, and two, there's a learning lesson in this, now you've been in this situation and you understand what to look for, right? And so we can grow from there. And so Like Captain Don Boyce says, water off a duck's back. All right, you know,
Hmm.
let it happen. Don't let it soak in. Learn from it and move on. Because the second we start allowing one thing to cloud our mind, the rest of the ship is going to be dictated by that one mess up. And we can't allow that to happen because we'll have a collision effect. Things are going to continue to happen. And so being able just to say, hey, Rob, mental note, wasn't that great. Work on it,
Mm.
separate from that. And then separate from firefighting, my fitness journey has been different because, again, I'm coming from a place that never really worked out. And here now it's expected that we do that. And so I've got some guys that are helping me out in the gym, getting me where I want to be. We listen to CT Fletcher a whole lot. Just
Hell yeah.
that
Old school.
mindset, old school, right? And just pushing me to be better and wanting me to be better. And I can attribute that to the guys that I got on my ship that are just like, hey, we care about you. We want you to be healthy and happy. Here you go. Boom.
Yeah, consistency over time breeds excellence, man. So just
100%.
being consistent with it. And this
Yeah.
is a podcast we talk about fitness on, but I
Yeah.
thought that but this is just a cool ass podcast. Honestly, we can maybe do that second episode on fitness, but
Sure.
it's cool to hear that because I'm super hard on myself. Like I could do a great job and I'll finish,
Yeah.
and the only things that I see are the bad.
Yeah.
Sure.
Like you could do everything right, but there
Yeah.
was one little mistake, and I'll focus on that.
Yeah.
But I think it's been important for me to take kind of like a zoom out and
Yeah.
just take it as a data point. Like take each mistake as a data point, learn from it, see what you can do after that, and try to get better from it. But like you said, water off a duck's
Yeah.
back. I really like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. And dude, what I've recently been doing, and I can't say this is my thinking. My uncle is he's now retired fire chief for the U.S. Air Force. And before that, he worked in Newark, New Jersey. So he often would tell me, he would catalog his incidents, right? Not because he needed to remember it, because he wanted to learn from them, right? So what I recently started doing is just when I go to a fire, I go to a bad wreck, or even just run of the mill calls, just say, hey, I did this on this day. This is what I learned from it, right? That way, 20 years from now, I can look back at this, and it might not be every single day, right? Come on now,
Yeah.
But at least I can say I've got some data points to say, okay, wow, here I am having the same problem with the same situation 2 years ago. Now I've been able to come full circle from it and learn from it, right? It's just super simple, super simple things that you can do for yourself that no one has to know that you do. Well, now they know I do it,
Yeah.
but
But it's for you, it's not for them.
yeah, no, 100%. I can care less about what your system is. You have to have a system, dude. And if you don't
Yeah.
have a system, you're gonna be doing this all shift.
Yeah.
You know?
My system needs to be upgraded in the way of like deleting files. Like
Oh, that's
I
fair.
save all the mishaps, and then the database is just so full of always thinking about
Yeah,
what went wrong that I always
yeah,
almost focus on that too much, and that
yeah,
breeds mistakes, if that makes any sense.
yeah, yeah.
If you're
And
always
and that
constantly worried about the mistakes that you made, it only makes more mistakes.
humans are naturally adapted to be that way, and it
Mhm.
is just ideally it makes sense, right? If we are concerned about why we didn't perform a certain way, it's a survival instinct, right? Like coming
Mhm.
back to our pre times, right? And so it's normal. And so I think you just have to allow yourself grace.
Mhm. Yeah, it's a
Shit
tough
happens.
thing.
Shit happens.
Yeah. On that fire that Rob was talking about, it was probably 13 degrees out there.
Yeah, it
It
was
was the
cold.
first time like we'd run a call together, and
Yeah,
the water
yeah.
from the hose froze our
Froze up.
turnouts,
Yeah, it
froze
was.
over. Eric is now like, nah, Eric
I've
doesn't
seen
do the
that shit in
cold.
textbooks.
Yeah.
Yeah, right, right, right.
Yeah.
And
I had never experienced that ever. And I don't want
yeah,
to do that again. I'm good with
no,
that.
no, no, no. Strategically learning, things could have gone better on that fire. It wasn't the worst fire that I've ever been on, but still early in my career, plenty of other fires that'll come down. I'm like, shit, fire branch was nothing compared to this. You
Yeah.
know, and sometimes you have to be honest with yourself. I like that you say that you keep that catalog, but like sometimes you aren't the best, and
Mm,
lying to yourself is the worst thing you can do.
yeah.
And so, like I talked about earlier, it's a careful balance between what you allow yourself to accept and what you allow yourself to deny. Right?
Mm.
You got to be real with yourself, and if you can't do that, hopefully you have a captain or a driver or a firefighter that can tell you you sucked.
Or
uh,
like hold you
yeah,
accountable. Like
yeah. Hey, yeah,
everyone
hey,
loves accountability until you're the guy being held
yeah,
accountable. You're
yeah,
like, this fucking sucks,
yeah,
dude. I do
yeah,
not want to do it. It sucks when you're the
yeah.
accountability, you know?
Yeah. And I'll be
Like,
honest, I'm still learning how to have these conversations with the guys that I worked with. I'm still learning them
yeah.
and learning to be comfortable and learning to, stick up for myself and have a conversation, no matter whether or not they're a driver or captain, right? And it's hard because, again, I'm a nice guy. I typically take it from an approach of giving grace. I'm a Christian, and
Mhm.
so I don't want to resort to anger first, or yeah, anger first. So ideally, I want to take it in an approach to where I would want someone to come at me in a certain way, right? But
Mhm.
sometimes I allow it to build up, and I get so angry, and I'm talking to other guys, and they're just like, just have that conversation, and I'm like, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Dude,
yeah,
I'll go home and hit my wife with the most perfect speech of what I should have said in that
yeah,
moment. And she's like,
yeah,
"Well, why the hell didn't you say that then?" And I'm like,
yeah,
"Well, I couldn't formulate it or
yeah,
really, you know, like really polish the idea that I had instead of that anger. Because the anger
yeah,
is my
yeah,
initial attack. And
yeah.
I don't really think that's a way to deal with
No,
issues. You give
no,
me an hour, 3 hours, maybe a shift, like a rotation of shifts.
yeah,
I have a solid argument or just a way to describe what I felt or what happened in a way that is appropriate to deal with going
yeah,
forward.
yeah. And sometimes, and here recently, it's been the captain that's been like, hey, let's have this meeting, let's
Mhm.
talk about it, and let's learn from it. And hey, it is what it is. But again, I'm young, there's
Yeah.
stuff to learn, you
Mhm.
know, and hopefully this will translate at some point when I'm in the leadership position for anyone else, and even outside of the fire service. If I have these goals, to do these things, I need to know how to talk to people.
Mhm.
This is what it is.
I always hope I'm around leadership that will have that conversation with me. It's like when
Yeah,
those conversations cease to exist, that's when
yeah,
you need
yeah,
to readjust where you are
yeah,
or like where the leadership, you need those. You
yeah,
need you need some accountability.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful that I have it. I'm very thankful.
Sometimes it sucks. Sometimes it's
Yeah,
like a mouthful of ashes, but you're like,
yeah,
you're like, damn, I really needed that.
yeah,
I need that realignment every once in a while, like that
yeah,
chiropractic accountability. But
yeah.
well, Rob, it was a great conversation to have with you, brother. The world's
Thanks,
most
guys.
interesting man, Rob Burks. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah,
Um,
Yeah, of
thank you for
course,
coming on.
of course. A pleasure to meet you, Eric.
Yeah, man.
pleasure, brother. Yes,
Of course,
likewise.
yes.
Rob, if there's anything that we can do for you or anything you need, you just let us know, all right?
Likewise, guys. I appreciate it,
Absolutely.
and I may God bless you and keep you safe. All right. Of
Absolutely, man. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
course. All right, guys.
Later.
So, to all the viewers and listeners out there, the Uncivil Mentality Podcast, thank you for joining us. On behalf of myself, Erik Vidal,
And I'm Reilly. Kilbride. Get after it. Get in your gear. Start training. It can never be enough.